Cette émission vous est proposée par l'Institut Universitaire de la Côte.
Good morning, class. My name is Mr. SIEDJEP. I'm a lecturer at the Institut Universitaire de la Côte. So today we are going to talk about tenses. And we are going to start with the simple present tense. Okay. When do we use the simple present tense? We use the simple present tense to talk about habitual action. We use the simple present tense to talk about habitual actions. Okay. Example. We have English Tuesday. Example, we have English language lesson every Tuesday. So this is an example of an habitual action. Okay. Now talking about the structure of the simple present tense, we have to know that whenever you conjugate a verb into the simple present tense, at the third person singular, the verb can either, at the third person singular, the verb can either take S, the verb can take ES, or the verb can take IES, depending on the type of verb you are conjugating. For example, if you take the verb to go, we will say I go, you go, she or he or it go, we go, you go, and they go. Okay, what do we observe? We observe that the verb remains the same with the first person singular, second person singular, first person plural, second person plural, and the third person plural. The change occur only at the third person singular. Here, she or he or it goes. So here the verb will take ES. Okay. Now, you should note that when you are conjugating a verb that ends with O, S, X, CH, SH, at the third person singular, you add ES. For example, we can have the verb to pass. We can say, I pass. Can say I pass. You pass. She or he or it passes. We pass. You pass. And they pass. If, for example, we can take another example with the verb to box. We can say, I box, you box, she or he or it boxes. We box, you box, and they box. We can take another example with the verb to watch. The verb to watch. We can say, I watch, you watch, she or he or it watches, we watch, you watch, and they watch. We can take, for example, another verb, to wash, to wash, to wash. We can say, I wash, you wash, he or she or it washes, we wash, you wash, and they wash. So, in summary, what can we say? In summary, we can say when we are conjugating a verb into the simple present tense, if the verb ends with O, S, CH, SH, and X at the third person singular, we have she or he or it goes or passes or watches or washes. Now, if we come across a situation whereby the verb ends with Y preceded by a consonant, in this case, what do? At the third person singular, we will change the Y into I, E, S. You see, we have removed the Y and we have replaced it with I, E, S. Is that okay? Good. Now, any other verb that you will have that does not belong to this category or this other category, then you simply add S. For example, you can have the verb to tell, or you can have the verb to work, or you can have the verb to speak. Here, at the certain singular, what happens? Here, you simply add S at the certain singular. For example, you will say, she or he or it tells, works, or speaks. So, this is what we can retain as far as the conjugation of a verb into the simple present tense is concerned. Now, we are going to continue with the signal words. Okay, signal words. Signal words. Signal words. What do we mean by signal words? I will just give you an example. If we say, for example, every day she learns, every day she learns physics. Every day she learns physics. Okay. Every day in this sentence represents what we call a signal word. Every day is a signal word. So, whenever you have every day in a sentence, the verb will be conjugated into the simple present tense. Okay, now apart from every day, we have other signal words. For example, we can have on Mondays. When we say on Mondays, it means every Monday. We can say on Tuesdays. On Tuesdays, it means every Tuesday. We can say on Sundays. It means every Sunday. Apart from this, we can have other signal words. We can have, for example, often, sometimes, always, and so on. So these are other signal words of the simple present tense. Is that okay? Good. We can now move on to the next tense, which is present continuous. Okay. The second tense is present continuous. Present continuous. Okay. When we say present continuous, what does that mean? It means an action that takes place at the time of report. So when you are talking, the action is ongoing. Is that okay? It is used to talk about actions taking place at the time of report. It is used to talk about actions taking place at the time of report. So, when you are talking, the action is ongoing. For example, I am talking. She is dancing. They are listening. Those are examples of present continuous. Okay. She is writing. She is writing. You see, the verb here is conjugating to the present continuous. When we say present continuous, here it is. She is writing. Present continuous. Okay. Now, when we talk about the present continuous, there is something very important that we will note. As far as the structure is concerned, the structure is we have subject plus to be. To be. The auxiliary to be is conjugated into the simple present. To be is conjugated into the simple present tense. Plus verb plus ing. We have subject plus to be conjugated into the simple present tense plus verb plus ing. Now, let's take an example. We are talking. You see, here we refer to the subject. Are refers to the auxiliary to be, conjugated into the simple present. And here we have the verb to talk. This is the verb, and here we have the ing form. So we are talking. This is present continuous. The verb here is conjugated into the simple present continuous. Okay, there is a problem that you should note. If, for example, you have a verb such as to write, before adding ing, you need to be very careful. Here, what do? You remove the e and you substitute it with ing. Now, if you have a verb that ends with a consonant that is preceded by a single vowel, in this particular case, what do? You will have to double the consonant. You double the consonant before adding ing. Now, if you come across a situation whereby the verb ends with ie, here what do? We will have to replace the ie with y. So we replace ie with y. Then what do? We add now ing. So we need to be very careful as the gerund form of the verb. Okay. Now we are going to continue with the signal words. Signal words. Okay. Let's take an example. If we say we are talking now. Okay, what is the signal word in this sentence? In this sentence, the signal word is now. Now is the signal word. Now is the signal word. Okay, there are other signal words. So words that goes with the present continuous. For example, we can have now. We can have at the moment. We can have listen. We can have look. For example, at this we can say listen, your father is talking. We can say look, the baby is drinking dirty water, and many other. Okay. The third tense. Simple future. The third tense is simple future. Okay. The third tense is simple future. Okay. When do we use the simple future tense? We use the simple future tense to talk about future actions. It is used to talk about future actions. It is used to talk about future actions. So actions that have not yet taken place. Okay. Example. They will read. They will read. When I say they will read, The verb to read is conjugated into the simple future tense. Okay. Talking about the structure of the simple future, we have subject plus shall and will. We have to note that shall is used with the first person singular and first person plural, and will is used with other subject pronouns. We can have, for example, he, she, it, you, and they. Subject plus shall and will plus the verb. Example, we can say they will come. They represent the subject, will the auxiliary, and come represent the verb. Now, talking about the signal words, we can have tomorrow. We can have the following. It can be the following day. It can be the following week. It can be the following month. And of course, it can be the following year. We can have the next. We can say the next day. We can say the next week. We can say the next month. We can say the next year. So these are some signal words of the simple future. Okay, we are going to continue with the next tense, which is the simple past tense. Simple past. Okay, when we say simple past, what does that mean? Simple past, it means the action is past. The action is completed. When do we use it? Usage. It is, when we say it, we refer to simple past. It is used to talk about past actions. It is used to talk about past actions. For example, we can say we were in Australia. We were in Australia last year. You see, we were in Australia last year. The verb were. This is the simple past tense of the verb to be. This is the simple past tense of the verb to be. Okay. We were in Australia. This is a past action. Okay. Good. Now talking about the structure of the simple past tense, we have to note at this level that we have two types of verbs. The first one is what we call regular verb, and the second one is what we call irregular verb. So we have regular and irregular verbs. Now, what is a regular verb? What is a regular What is a regular verb? A regular verb is a verb that in the past and past participle take d, ed, or ied. Past and past participle. For example, if we take a verb, this is infinitive, this is simple past, and this is past participle. Okay. Now, at times, some students tend to confuse between the simple past tense and past participle. Okay. If I say, for example, I ate. If I say I ate, this is what we call the simple past. Now, if I say I have eaten, eaten is what we call the past participle. This is what we call the past participle. Okay. Here, if you have a verb such as to like, the simple past tense, here we add D. And at the level of past participle, we add D. Now, if we come across a verb such as the verb to call, the simple past tense, here we add ED. And past participle, we equally add ED. Now, if you have a verb such as to cry, a verb that ends with Y, that is preceded by a consonant. But I'm not saying that all the verbs that ends with Y, preceded by consonant, are regular verbs. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just taking a case of the verb that ends with Y, preceded by a consonant. So here, Y we change into IED. And here, Y we equally change into IED. So, this is an example of regular verbs. Now, we are going to continue with the case of irregular verbs. Okay. Here we have infinitive. Here we have simple past. And here we have past participle. Okay. Now, when we say irregular verb, what does that mean? An irregular verb is a verb that does not have a specific form, be it for the past and past participle. So there's no specific rule. All what we have to do is to cram them, is to learn them. Okay. We have about 178 irregular verbs. Okay. Let's take, for example, the case of to eat. To eat. The simple past tense is ate, and the past participle is eaten. If we take the case of the verb to teach, the simple past tense is taught, and the past participle is taught. If we take the case of the verb to drive, the simple past tense is drove, and the past participle is driven. Now, what do we observe? We observe that as far as irregular verbs are concerned, all what we have to do is to learn them. There's no rule. Okay. Now we are going to continue with the signal word. Signal word of the simple past tense. Signal words. Okay. What are the signal words of the simple past tense? Talking about signal words, we can have a go. You see, we can say 2 years ago, I was in Paris. Or we can say many years ago, my parents were in Yaoundé. We can talk of yesterday. We can talk of the day, the week, the month, the year before. You see, we can say the day before, we can say the week before, we can say the month before, and we can say the year before. And also, we can talk of the previous. We can say, for example, the previous day. We can talk of the previous month. We can talk of the previous year, and of course, we can talk of the previous week. So these are signal words of the simple past tense. So when you see any of these words in a sentence, obviously the verb will be conjugated into the simple past tense. So we are going to continue with the next tense. Okay, the next tense is present perfect. Present perfect. When do we use the present perfect tense? We use the present perfect tense to talk about an action that started in the past and continues in the present. I will try to draw this line to illustrate it very well. You see? So this is 2020 and we can say this is 2000. You can see, for example, I have learned English language for 20 years. You see? So it means you started in 2000 and up to now, 2020, you are still in the process. So here you can see I have learned English language. I've learned English language for 20 years. The verb is have learned. This is what we call present perfect. We use the present perfect here because the verb started in the past. The action started in the past and continue in the present. Now, talking about the usage, what can we say as far as the use is concerned? It is used to talk about an action that started. An action that started in the past and continues in the present. You see, a past action that continues in the present. So that's what we can talk about the usage of the present perfect. And also, we can use the present perfect to talk about a recent happening, a recent information. For example, we can say coronavirus has killed a lot of persons. That's a recent happening. That's a recent information. Okay, talking about the structure. Talking about the structure. Here, the structure is made up of subject plus have, conjugating to the simple present. Have can, at the present singular, have can take the form of has. So we can have or has plus the past participle of the verb. Okay, let's take an example. We can say, for example, we can say she has worked. She has worked. She stands for the subject. Has stands for the auxiliary to have. Here has is used because of the third person singular. And work here stands for the past participle of the verb to work. Now talking about the signal word. Signal word. Okay, here we have so many. We can have since, we can have for, we can have never, ever, already, just, yet, and so far. So these are signal words of the present perfect. Okay, let us use one of these words in a sentence. I can say, I have been in Douala. I've been in Douala for 20 years. I've been in Douala for 20 years. Here, the verb to be is conjugated into the present perfect. Why? Because of the presence of for, which is a signal word of the present perfect tense. Okay, we are going to continue with the next tense. Okay, past perfect. When do we use the past perfect tense? It is used to talk about an action. It is used to talk about an action that took place. Before another action in the past. Okay, let us try to sketch it so that we can better understand. So that we will be better understood. Okay, here for example, we are on the 7th of March. This is the 7th of March. Here we are on the 5th of March. And here we are on the 2nd of March. Okay, now when we are on the 7th of March, if we are talking about something that took place on the 5th of March, which tense are we going to use? We are going to use the simple past tense. You see, we are on the 7th of March. We are talking about something that took place on the 5th of March. We are going to use the simple past tense. Now, if there is an action that took place before this action, then we are going to use the past perfect tense. So here we have past perfect. Now, what does that mean? It means we have two actions. The verb of the first action will be conjugated into the past perfect, and the verb of the second action will be conjugated into the simple past. This is the first action and this is the second action. Okay, let's try to put it in a sentence. We can say, we were in England. We were in England because our friends had invited us. We were in England because our friends had invited us. We clearly see that here the verb to be, the auxiliary to be, is conjugated to the simple past tense, and here the verb to invite is conjugated to the past perfect tense. What does that mean? It means that we were, this is the 7th, we were in England on the 5th because our friend had invited us on the 2nd. So our friends invited us before we went to England. Is that okay? Okay, good. We were in England because our friends had invited us. So this is the first action and this is the second action. The verb of the first action is conjugated into the past perfect tense and the verb of the second action is conjugated into the simple past tense. Very good. Now we are going to continue with the structure. Now, talking about the structure of the past perfect, the structure is subject plus had, the simple past tense of the auxiliary to have, plus the past participle of verb. Example, they had invited. They had invited. They stands for the subject. Had stands for the auxiliary to have, conjugating to the simple past tense. And invited stands for the past participle of the verb to invite. Okay. We are going to continue with the signal words. Talking about the signal words of the past perfect, we can say that it is almost the same with the signal words of the present perfect. But there is a slight difference. If, for example, in the sentence, you have elements of the past in the sentence, then the signal of the present tense will go for, we call the past perfect tense. Okay, let's take an example. I can say, she had already eaten when we arrived. You clearly see that already here. In another sentence, it can go with the present perfect. But in this particular case, it goes with the past perfect. So if, for example, you have already in the sentence with an element of the past, then you will have the past, you will go with the past perfect. Okay, good. Dear students, it has been an extraordinary pleasure to be with you and sharing the knowledge with you. And for any questions that you may have or for any suggestion, you can contact us through the number that you will have, you see, on your screen. And for any homework that you would like to do, everything is available at the school website. Thank you. See you for the next edition.
Cette émission vous a été proposée par l'Institut Universitaire de la Côte.